Hi, welcome to the award-winning Ed Brown Show. Got a very special Bowie night here. I mean, this young lady has given so much to Prince George's County. Ms. Ingrid Turner. I mean, and she's still out there. I mean, she was on the county council. She was chair lady of the county council. She been to the what is that? Not the White House, but the one in Annapolis. We're talking about
The Naval
Yeah,
Academy.
Navy Academy, and she's been around in Prince George County. And you Bowie Nights, we stand up for 2 minutes to honor Ingrid Turner. She's given so much, not just to Bowie. She's given to Prince George County, state of Maryland, and this good old USA. Welcome, Ingrid. And I know somebody was telling me you're still out there running.
Thank you so much. I'm so delighted to be here. Your show's been in about 15 years now. This is my first time on.
Yeah. Well, you're busy. You know,
Yeah.
every time I call, I get my son down there, try to put some bear traps down there. Oh, she's busy. She's on the chair, you know. So what can I say? You're the one, not me.
But you have such great guests, so I'm so honored to be one of your guests here. And I want to wish you happy birthday. It's your
Oh, wow.
86th birthday?
No, we're 68. What you got to say?
Happy birthday, though.
Thank you very much.
What a blessing.
God is good. That's all I can say.
Right.
Hey, but what we're going to talk about you and what you're doing now and the thing. Tell us a little bit about your encounter at the Navy Academy and your the things that your background. See, a lot of people in Bowie, Prince George County, they know you.
Yeah.
And they know your name, but some of them don't. Give us a background in
so
2
right.
seconds.
Oh, in 2 seconds. But you're so right. Yeah. I'm from Bowie. My dad came here with his family in the '73. He was going to Walter Reed, and my mom was a teacher here. So we grew up here right in South Bowie. I went to Pointer Ridge Elementary School.
Hey.
Thomas Pullen Junior High before it was a performing arts school. My brothers went to Largo and DeMatha, and I went to Elizabeth Seton High School. And you know, my parents always talked about service to the community, service to their country. My dad retired from the Army. He worked as an enlisted man and worked his way up. And my mom always said, get a good education, and then doors will open and you can have the opportunity to continue to serve at a higher level. So,
And you've been doing it.
thank you.
I mean,
thank
hey.
you. What a blessing. Yeah, but it hasn't been easy. But thanks to the community support, community galvanizing behind me, after I served my 20 years in the military, I actually retired to run for office right here in Bowie. We had never had a minority elected to the seat, and the community got galvanized behind me. And in 2006, as you know, I ran for the county council, and I was blessed to be elected here. And I served 2 terms, as we're term limited here in Prince George's County, and we got to work on the things that we said we were going to do. We built that new library in South Bowie. We got a new middle school in Greenbelt. But you also know my background is healthcare. So
Okay.
healthcare, because in the military I did litigation, I did prosecution, I did defense work, but I also was, did you know this? I was the lawyer at the National Naval Medical Center, which is the President's Hospital.
Yeah, congratulations. No kidding. How
Yeah.
long were you there?
So I was at the National Naval Medical Center for 3 years, but that transcended into my part where I said I had a passion for healthcare law. That's how I worked with the county executive on the MOU that's bringing the regional medical center here to Prince George's County. When I was chair of the Board of Health with my colleagues in partnership, we worked really hard to make sure that access to quality health care was here. But I do want to go back and talk a little bit about the legal aspect. Because as a JAG officer, do you think many people know what JAG officers do?
I don't think so. Go.
Okay, well, you know, as a JAG officer, I did prosecution. And when I did prosecution, I actually did a kingpin drug case. I did rape cases. I did unauthorized absence cases. But in the military, it's just the same as a civilian lawyer. What we do is is that unfortunately sometimes in the military we have bad apples, and we have to take them to trial, and they have to have a lawyer prosecuting that case, and then they also have to have a person defending a case. So not only did I do prosecution, I did defense work, but I'm going to just share a little bit about a couple cases that I did, if that's okay.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. So when I was overseas in Japan, I had to do what they call an Article 32 investigation. That's kind of like a grand jury investigation here. And I had to do a case on a young Marine that was charged with raping a young Japanese individual. And you know how sensitive and serious that is, because when you're in a host country, you know, you're visiting, you're a guest in another country.
That's right.
So they only assign the most sensitive and the most I guess I'll say knowledgeable.
Yeah,
lawyers.
It'd be nice that you say knowledgeable, right?
Right. Knowledgeable lawyers to handle those cases. So I had to do that rape case there in Japan. But also, I'm also proud of some defense work that I did when I was actually stationed here at the Bureau of Naval Personnel, which is near the Pentagon. We had some officers that were delayed their promotion. And when you're delayed your promotion, you lose money.
Yeah.
You lose money.
Always.
Right?
Yeah. They never make it up.
Well, in this particular case, I appealed on their behalf, and I represented them, over 500 officers, and got their back pay and got their promotion date backdated, so that they actually didn't lose that millions of dollars.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I think it's important to be an advocate for whether you're advocating for the government when you're a prosecutor, and advocating to make sure that people abide by the law. But it's also good to be a legal advocate when you're defending people and making sure that their rights are protected. And I'm very proud of my well-rounded background that I bring when I'm either serving my community as a county council member, when I'm now looking to serve my community
as
on
a
the
judge.
bench. Yes.
Tell us about this position, this judge position.
I'm glad you asked about that, because a lot of people don't know, and we're getting ready to go into the election season. And we have the ability here in Prince George's County, and actually throughout the state, to elect our judges. We can elect people that have the right temperament, people that are going to be fair, that are going to be firm too, and I think I'll be fair and firm, but also bring a breadth of experience. And here I bring a diverse background. I know about the services that we have, because when you're on the bench, it's not just all about putting people away.
No, well, that's what most of them interpret that,
No, it's actually about also, for me, it's also being about judicial reform right now. It's important that people that go before the bench get a fair trial, but also that we look about rehabilitating them, because
that's what most of us forget.
Yes.
And actually having an individual rehabilitated, that saves money in the future.
Absolutely. I mean, we lock up people, we put them away, we have to pay, we have to have a roof over their head, we have to pay 3 meals a day, feed them, that's right, that's right. But you know what? Why can't we first off hit them beforehand so they don't get in trouble?
Right.
But if they do come to the bench, let's talk about the social services that are available for them. Let's make sure that they, if they have drug problems, let's make sure that they get access to treatment, because everybody just wants to be productive citizens.
Well, that's one of the problems they have with the system. They don't treat the problem. The problem, if you have a drug problem, you have a mental problem, they sweep it under the rug. And they go in and they put incarcerated individual, and they don't have any treatment at all. They're just sitting there.
Right.
And what happens is that after the sentence is over, and then the individuals put back on the street, they're the same. They really haven't been rehabilitated.
And you know what? So that's why it's important that the people that we put on the bench, that they have an understanding of the law, which is a good understanding, so that they can be fair and impartial, but that they also understand what services are available, so that they can help and they can encourage people to get the services that they need.
Yeah, most of the people don't realize services that are available for the things that we've talked about. Mental illness is one of them. It goes across the board. And what happens is that the person is never treated. They're mistreated, but they're never treated, whatever their problem is. Yeah. And see, this is the thing. We need individuals on the bench like that to realize, you just don't put the hammer down, said 40 years. You said, well, Mr. Brown, you have a problem. You have to do this and actually find something to help that individual.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's what's so important about here in Prince George's County. We have the opportunity to look at people's record, see if they understand and they're willing to go out in the community and know, I've been active in coaching soccer. I've been active in the PTAs. I've been active in my community in the church. And as that, I know what the community is interested in. I'm out there, and as a judge, I can be a role model for the young people. Yeah. You love mentorship, don't you?
Oh, well, you better mentorship. That's my game.
Yes,
I feel it's so very important. But before time run out on it, I like to emphasize the voting. A lot of people don't understand that the elections coming up now, just the presidential election, everybody knows about that. But the local election, how important it is for them to get out, do their homework, and then pick a responsible person.
So early voting is April 14th through the 26th, and election day is April 26th. So April 14th through the 21st, and then April 26th. But even along that, you're right. Here on the ballot for the judicial, there'll be 6 people's names, and you can pick 4 people. You can pick 4 people to sit on the bench, and when you look at that, you need to actually, you're right, look at what their qualifications, what they
homework.
bring, and don't always pick the same type of people.
Right.
Don't you want people that bring
variety?
Diversity? Yes.
That's what you want. You want people that are looking both ways.
If I'm elected, I'll be the first one that served and retired from the military on active duty. I'll be a person that's here from Prince George's County, and the person that served on the county council.
Right.
That's a breadth of experience that I don't think any other candidate has.
Well, actually, that's really what. Knowing the area, that's another thing. You're familiar with the area here. And that's very important because had been on county council, you know the problem, you know the social problems, you know all of those problems. And what we want from people in those positions, we want answers to the problem, not just bang the what do you call that? Gavel down. You said 40 years. That's no way. We have our society. We need to make sure we include treatment.
That's right. That's right. We include treatment, and we also, one of the other things is I know about the budget. So I know some of the limitations, and I can also advocate for, additional funding because, right here in Prince George's County, we do need additional judges on the bench to help process those cases. But again, it's about how we can best serve our community. And on the bench, we have a lot of people serving on the bench, and with that, do we have people that have served in the military and retired from the military that have served as legislators? So I made the laws, but now I get to interpret the laws on the bench.
Right. And usually it comes down to that one word I've always said in voting: homework. A lot of people, they say, well, I heard on TV or Susie May told me about it. Do some homework. It only takes a minute because that makes you an important voter. When you do homework on the individual, you're going to vote for somebody that you have no idea of the background just because you like the way the hair curl or whatever. Doesn't mean anything. See, but doing your homework, a person can't sway you because of the fact that you took the time to find that person's background. You know the variety of people that you want in that position.
And and so as people look to do their homework, I want them to remember that I came here in 1973 in Prince George's County when I was in 4th grade. I went through public school here, graduated from
Prince Georgians.
Graduated from Elizabeth Seton High School. I went to the Naval Academy. My 3 brothers graduated from West Point. So all my siblings, we served our country, and we came back to our community to make our community better. I did litigation, I did family law, I did consumer law, I did administrative law, I did healthcare law, but more importantly, I'm from the people, I represent the people, and the people have a choice. So I say to the people, are you going to take that choice?
Yes, that's the idea with the experience that you've had and everything. There's so many things with people just don't understand that you need to get involved in. And we are happy that, you're difficult to find, All these years I said, I got to get this turn on here. But you're so busy involved in the community, doing different things. And one of the things we always is always one of our pet things is mentoring. I know you do a lot of that.
I love mentoring,
close
yes.
it.
Yeah, mentorship is so important, and that's what I love, helping our young people, whether it's coaching a soccer team, whether it's working at a career day. When I was the county council member, I also did many bullying symposiums. I did a youth empowerment summit, because our youth are our future.
That's it. So I want to thank Ingrid Turner for being here. I mean, this young lady has done so many things for the county, the state, and the country. Remember, Turner is the name.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Hey, welcome back. This is the Ed Brown Show, and what we're trying to do, bring you some more information. And we have a young man here. He was real close to President Obama many, many times. His name is Cleveland Brown. And, I thought at first, he said Cleveland Browns. I said, this guy is, he don't know. This is Redskins territory. But anyway, Cleveland has so many things that he's been involved with, he and his family, even with the president. Cleveland, welcome to the Ed Brown Show. Tell us a little bit about how you overcame some of the things in life that most people would kill them.
Well, thank you. By the way, happy birthday.
Thank you.
So my background started, what I overcame was growing up in the South, being raised by a single mother, not having a father figure in the household. My mother also was illiterate. I remember going to integrated school at the 5th grade, and a teacher once said, and this was 1972 in North Carolina, as you recall, the Brown versus Board of Education was 1954. So the small town I was in, final legal battle was over in 1973. So when we integrated, I recall the teacher telling me that I and most of the other minority students were not college material because we weren't A students. So I allowed that person, that teacher, speaking over me to become part of what I consider as my inferiority complex. And that lasted throughout my elementary, my middle school, and through high school. And it was not until much later in 1984, after I joined the military, and I was in the military about 5 years at that time, that I was in a class in California, and a person asked me, what do you want to be in life? And I thought that I was happy because my background was I came from a poverty background. I cropped tobacco with a great-grandfather. My great-grandfather and grandmother lived in a sharecropper, a type of environment where they had no running water in an outhouse. So in essence, I could say that my station life came from my outhouse to the White House. And so from that class in 1984 in California, I guess internally I thought I could, maybe at this point, at 24 years old, I could go to college. And so 6 months later, I was transferred to Honolulu, Hawaii, where I enrolled in the first class at Chaminade University. The military at that time was giving 95% tuition. And so I decided to go because it didn't cost me very much. And what I discovered, as you know it, as an educated person yourself, is that college was much easier than high school. So all this time I believed with a teacher who was an authority figure. The teacher told me that I was not college material because I wasn't an A student. And back in the 60s, the only role model example that I had was the Vietnam vets. And so being in the military, which I think is a great career, for me, I wanted to do a lot more. And so I was able to transition in Hawaii. I got a 2-year degree from Chaminade University in Honolulu. And 2 years later, I was transferred back to California, where I entered California State University and got my bachelor's degree in 1992. So that's the beginning of the idea of education, and for me to not allow for outside influences to affect the way in which I move forward throughout life. And I transitioned from the military in 1991 because I was able to be enlightened from going to college. I transitioned to believing that I could do more in life than just be a military enlisted men. So I was a E6 at the time, which is a high-ranking enlisted person, but I wanted more in life. And so with education behind me, I was able to join the United States Treasury Police in San Francisco. And later I ended up getting my, I guess my awareness or introduction to federal law enforcement when I met one of the persons who later will become the first African-American agent in charge of the Presidential Protective Detail. His name was Larry Cockle. And so Mr. Cockle challenged me to enroll or to apply for the United States Secret Service. And so I applied. It took 2 years to do my background. As you know, Secret Service it takes a long time to do your background.
Yeah, right. They want to check your grandmama's mother.
Yes, sir. And so it took them 2 years to check my grandmother's and everyone else. And in my 12 years of active duty from 1979 to 91, I was stationed in a lot of places. And so after that extended period of time, I came on to the Secret Service in 1995.
Well, how did you get to the White House? Tell us about that.
Okay, so in 1995, when I came on the Secret Service, I was stationed in San Francisco, California. And I later, in 1999, for 16 months, I was at Stanford University with Chelsea Clinton on the kids detail. And a year later, she decided to take some time out from school to be back in Washington, D.C. with her father for the last year of his presidency. So I transferred to Washington, D.C. in 2000. And so that's how I first came to be at the White House. And after President Clinton left in 2001, I stayed at the White House with President Bush. And I became one of the youngest members on the elite counter assault team.
And what do you call it now?
It's called the CAT team, the counter assault team.
I mean, you got to qualify for that, right?
Yes, sir. And I was almost 40 years old, and it was it's a special forces unit. It's one of the minimum units, one of the few units that the agents can be a part of. And so I was on that team until 2003, when I transitioned back to suits with President Bush, and experienced what I consider as my longest day in the Secret Service. My longest day was a trip to Iraq for Thanksgiving in 2003. So that was my longest day. That's how I transitioned into the Secret Service from the Treasury Department.
Well, tell us a little bit about, I heard that you have a son that President Obama invited to the White House. And he invited you and your wife and your, what was it, another daughter?
Another son. I have
another
two sons.
son.
Yes.
Well, it was just one that he invited, and you guys tagged along. But your son was the reason that President Obama invited you.
Well, my son would probably think that was the case.
Oh, well, I think he wants credit. You know,
Yes.
adults, you know, that's what happens. You know, You don't give us any credit.
This is true, and that's why I retired from the Secret Service to talk, to mentor to those kids, to talk to them about that. But what actually happened was that I was in New York from 2006 to 2009 with President Clinton. I got promoted in New York, and I was coming back to Washington, D.C. for my third tour at the White House for President Obama in 2009. So I was with President Obama on what you call the Presidential Protected Detail for 2.5 years. And so January of 2012, my last day on President Obama's detail.
And what about your son?
He invited the family to come. And so
For
I think
what? Why did he invite you?
He invited the family, invited myself, and so I came to.
But he invited your son first because it's something that he did.
Yes, my son allowed for his father to provide protection. And so President Obama wanted to thank my family for the service that I rendered. And so that was the occasion for my sons to come and meet the president inside of the Oval Office. And I think I have a picture of it I brought.
And then he was doing something, some kind of charity. What was he involved in there, your youngest son?
My youngest son, the charity that my youngest son was involved.
Right. And then the president don't want to commend him for.
Well, no, my youngest son, the only thing that he was doing was that he was involved in helping his father.
Right.
And his father was serving the country.
And didn't he have some kind of program he was running that you told me about earlier?
No, sir. I think that my son got. There's another picture of another son, of another child that was involved in another charity. Okay. So that wasn't necessarily my son, but my son would probably thank you for mentioning them, and as well as my wife. So, but what my sons, and the reason why they came to the White House was more or less the president, which was very gracious, invited the family to offer his thanks for them sharing their father. And so President Obama...
sharing the time that you spent protecting the president. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
for my 2.5 years.
That's basically what that was about. And mentoring, how do you think that, you mentioned the negative things that you have to overcome in order to be successful. Tell us a little bit about mentoring in a couple of seconds.
In a couple of seconds. Well, so mentoring, I retired from the Secret Service last year in October as a high-ranking official. And primarily I retired because I wanted to be able to give back. And I recall that the person who made a significant difference in my life was mentors. And as I mentioned, it was a class about setting goals.
Setting goals.
Setting goals. And one of my favorite movies of all time is To Serve with Love with Cynthia Poitier. You probably recall that movie.
Yes, right.
And so what I really want to do, and I believe this is sort of my destiny, is to share those challenges I encountered growing up, the challenge of going through segregation, the challenge and also developing the inferiority complex by listening to a teacher, talk about what is required to go to college. And then I believe that, and that was before internet, by the way. So I
that was before.
That was before internet.
Internet.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. 1973.
Okay, wrap it up there.
And so for mentoring, what I'm doing now, I'm a graduate student at Liberty University, and my major is secondary education in social studies.
Okay, we want to thank you for being Cleveland Brown. I'm telling you, you overcome a lot, and mentoring is one of the basic things that I talk about quite a bit. And we want to thank you for being here and continue to set the example. And don't forget to vote. Everybody out there, vote, vote, vote. See you next time.